Hello everybody. I want to have a quick rant about the state of Jesus studies and the state of this Jesus scholarship presently. It really does frustrate me. People are going to be left behind soon. Christians are going to be left behind by the sheer weight of evidence that is now coming out with regards to the text of the Gospels against the text of the epistles, the epistle writers, and the clean split we can see between the Christology and these two broad categories of this literature. I'm getting it's really frustrating because people like Bart Ehrman, and I'm finding this wonderful girl here on his channel, Faith Walsh. We'll just call her Faith Walsh. They're her surnames. Trying to find the historical Jesus. I watched another video just the other day. I was going to do a video on it, just debunking the whole thing. Mark Goodacre as well, an esteemed biblical scholar, trying to find the Jesus of history. It's completely speculative. Everything we know about that Jesus is completely based upon speculation and a miasma, I must admit, of a complete unwillingness to face the facts about the nature of this historical Jesus. There are so many more Jesuses that we can latch onto in the first century that have quite a lot of these traits and tropes and parallels and commonalities with the biblical Jesus. Jesus ben Ananias is one of them. Judas the Galilean, who had a son called Jesus, and they were rebels involved in tax disputes that led to the war. And the War of the Jews is featured basically in Acts in a roundabout way. And it really frustrates me because, people who make it into the book of Acts are actually talked about in Josephus. This is the time we are focusing on here, and it wasn't in 3033. It was later on. The books of the Gospels, Acts, and so on are obviously talking, and we know this with Acts anyway. They talk about things that happened later on in the decades of the first century. But these things, this book, especially Josephus's books, act as a dragnet for other Jesuses that are clearly, I reckon, fairly obviously making it into the New Testament accounts. And it's fucking frustrating to have to look on and see these historians, clever people, PhDs, professors, but Ehrman still hanging on to this notion that we can find that the biblical Jesus existed. There's no need for a biblical Jesus when you find how much of the biblical Jesus can be found in the Old fucking Testament. It pisses me off. It really winds me up now. How much of it is just clear cut and paste typology, Pesherim, typology. They're creating Jesuses out of Scripture. Paul makes it clear that's what he's doing. The epistle writers, the work I've done recently. I think I might have been the first to really look at this in a condensed form and look at the second century attestations to the gospel accounts. They are non-existent until we get to Irenaeus. Well, Justin Martyr, to be fair. But then the fourfold canonical, squared off canonical tradition that are given names. Irenaeus 180, for fuck's sake. Why is there such a reticence for smart secular historians, non-Christians, to want to really reason this out and say, what is the probability here? What are we actually looking at? What are the probabilities involved? If we can find a Jesus Christ, a Jesus in a high Christological sense, all right, in the religious Jews' minds, up there in the fucking sky, even being killed and resurrected in the skies, in the heavens, as per Hebrews, as a good example. The apocalypse of the ascension of Isaiah and books like this quite clearly attesting that Jesus is killed in a lower level of heaven. Then why do you need a biblical Jesus? He's already there in Scripture, precisely where Jesus comes from. He echoes Scripture all the time. Clement of Rome doesn't know the biblical Jesus. The only time he could be seen, I think, literally to be talking about Jesus' crucifixion, this suffering Jesus, he's quoting Isaiah 53. He's not quoting the Gospels. He doesn't know them. The only things we find are loose creedal formulas and theological oral traditions that are slowly making their way into what become the Gospels, as far as I can see it. And I've done my research on this one. So I just wanted to lay that out there. A bit of a rant. I'm getting fed up with having to, and constantly having to deal with scholars here who are trying to be fair and honest and reasoned and well balanced, continually ignoring the facts here of the mythicist position, which I think is consolidated, augmented, and then consolidated by bringing Rome into this picture. And noticing how many Roman, Greek, Egyptian even gods who flow beautifully into the Christian era are related to Jesus Christ. It really pisses me off. I'm gonna crush this. I'm fed up with it. Myself, I'm going to ruin the state of the Christian world, because it needs to be replaced by something better, by a new, updated, reasoned form of a Christology here that we can all relate to. And it's beautiful. Anyway, peace.